It's FOMC today, and I can guarantee you there is going to be an extreme shock to the market. So in this stream, you're going to get the exact short zones. You're going to get the exact long zones that you can use to take advantage on any volatility, guys. It's a big one. Let's go. Guys, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. I'm wearing banger today. I'm very interested to see what Mr. 𝗵𝗵𝗏 is wearing here. He's disgusting.
Disgusting.
Okay. Well, I already know his sentiment. So just tell us quickly.
It's going to be disgusting both ways, but ultimately, I think today we go down.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about this because there's actually a little bit of data that tells us we should be going down. Okay, so let's talk about the plan, and then I'm going to cover you guys. We're going to cover you as best as we can. Okay, now, remember, we looked after you yesterday when you were too bullish, and we got those shorts, and I'm going to look after you guys again today. Just don't ask me what night is. It's 68% up. Just generally steer away from that one. But overall, guys, I'd say it's been a red 12 hours, give or take. We've slowly just bled out, and we've given up all those gains from yesterday. And that was it felt very inorganic, that move yesterday. It was weird. It was like a strange move in the markets there for us. And the opportunities when we hit these big zones to get the shorts, obviously it fell into our lap. So it is always quite exciting. Now, what do we do? Okay, are they going to let us get away with a move here in FOMC? Are they going to make it so simple that they just going to drop us here into 91 and then pump us into Valhalla? I somehow doubt that. Okay, so my current opinion is we cannot decide, and I'm going to show you why none of us will know what's going to happen next, but we can be reactive. Okay, so current situation is if there is a first move for me later on that is a hard pump, I think the obvious play is to look for a short. And where are we going to look for a short reasonably? Okay, so number one for Bitcoin, 94K. Number two for Bitcoin, 95,500. And number three for Bitcoin, 97K into 98,400. Okay, so these are, if we get an extreme pump leading into this FOMC, maybe Powell says one or two interesting things and we hit hard, those are your levels to the upside. So 97 to 98.4, 94K and 95.5. Those are going to be your upside rejection zones that you're going to look for. And if you are sitting in longs, those are typically going to be your TP zones. Okay, now, what do we do if we start dumping? Okay, now this is going to be interesting. For me, if we start dropping into the FOMC, it might actually be a more bullish situation for us. So the first level that is of interest to me is this box over here. And this level is 91,100 into this undercarriage over here, which is 90,500. So that box over here is interesting to me in terms of a little wick to the downside and then possibly a little bit more upside. Now, obviously, after that, we can start looking at lots of different levels. Okay, number one here, there's an interesting combination for us with the VWAP and those lows. So that is about 89K you want to look at for a reaction. And then I'd say it's a pretty high conviction bounce zone. If we get that move today, I'd say 87,900 gives you quite a decent long here on any weakness. Okay, that is going to take out that wick and it's going to take out our weekend lows, and that should give us a move. Now, not necessarily to a new high, that could just give us a lower high, but this will be a nice push on BTC, and I would expect then on corresponding altcoins to respond on their various levels. Now, remember, what I'm going to give you today is upside levels on alts as well. So if Bitcoin pumps into this short zone I'm giving you, you want to look at your corresponding alts and say, am I in the short zone on the alts? Should I react here? And the same thing if we drop to the downside, if we want Bitcoin on support, let's say we're filling that VWAP zone I've just shown you at around 90K, are our alts sitting on corresponding support? If the answer is yes, we're going to try and get those bounces there in those zones. Okay, Mark Dutch. Hello, sir. Disappears, comes back, but always welcome back here, sir. Good to have you. Okay, so guys, these are the Bitcoin zones of interest to me now on the short term. I'm going to be reactive in these areas. We'll watch this thing live. Obviously, you need to track these areas when it's happening in real time. And from past experience, especially that last FOMC, we had a hard pump first, and then we had a big rejection, and everything felt like it was going to zero. They dropped it down. They hit the lower reaction zones, and then they bounced it up again. So it's going to be a wild time. You need a couple of your favorite charts in front of you. You're going to pick your levels, and then you're going to react in those zones. Okay, no point guessing what's going to happen next. just be reactive in the areas. Okay, hopefully you guys have got the picture. Let me know in the chats, am I making a little bit of sense? And I am running a poll. Obviously, guys, I want to know your sentiment as well. Are we going to pump it or are we going to jump it? So just go into the chats there for me and answer that poll. Now, let's talk lickies here. 280, a little bit high for me leading into the FOMC. We haven't even had the 𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗏 just yet, and these guys are sitting at $280 million. So I can't imagine what is going to be coming later. James, I'm going to guess 750 we finish at tonight. I'd say that's a reasonable number. James not that happy. He's like, nah, it's not big enough. But look, this is going to go up. This will at least double and maybe triple. I think we go higher. Legend of E says he's excited for tonight. And Matty says, yes, strap in basically because anything can happen. Guys, all we can do is control our big areas. Okay, Mr. Salt Bay can come over here and he can sprinkle these red candles, but we're gonna fight him off at these bounce zones. Okay, who's calling 85? Who's sending us to 0 here at the moment? 85 is horrible, bro. 85 is horrible. We don't want to go there. But for those of you that are new, we have to do this on every FOMC. This is the typical FOMC. So let's just confirm what happens. Thank you so much. Now, why is this such a thing, guys? Why is this such a thing? Okay, so Nick says today is the day that crypto bros gather around and watch a 72-year-old fiat overlord decide on the direction of their freedom money. I don't think you can explain it any better than that, but happy FOMC day, he says. Now, let's celebrate our FOMC. I'm dying to know who's bullish. Is this time different? Tomorrow is FOMC. That's today. Okay, most people have the memory of a goldfish. Who's got the memory of a goldfish? James, is this time different? But the liquidity is coming. Look at the chart. Okay, this man's marked out a chart. June 18th, FOMC, 6% dump. July 30th, 5.6% dump. September 17th, 8% dump. October 29th, 12% dump. How's your FOMC going, James? This time is different though, right?
Not different. Not at all. No, sorry. We're going straight to hell. He's going to kill us again.
Oh my God, I think I need a new poll. Is James too bearish? That's basically the new poll. Let us know in the chats. Is James so bearish that there's only one way we can go? Is he overly bearish here? I'm concerned. I'm concerned at the moment. George is even more bearish than James. He's talking about a 16% dump. So guys, there's the data. Okay, and this is the best part. What you're going to see now, this tweet, is that like, no matter who you listen to, there's no point in trying to say whether we're going up or whether we're going down. It's an absolute waste of time. All you can do is react to the good zones on the upside, react to the good zones on the downside. Anything else you're going to lose sleep over, you're wasting your time. And we know that. All these guys that get paid millions and millions of dollars in salaries from all these banks, they can't even get their shit together. Only half of them are hawkish. Half of them are dovish, guys. Here it is right in front of you. The smartest men in the world, okay, at all these banks giving all these opinions, but everyone has got a different opinion. So if you are trading shit coins with us, don't feel bad, okay? These guys can't even get it right, so we're going to react in those zones. James, do you concur?
I concur. But all of the data is leaning to that he should be hawkish just because of the circumstances, right? This isn't just, oh, I'm bearish because it's Powell.
So we bullish then.
Well, maybe. I don't think so, because we're missing all of the data that he needs to make a good decision, right? That's going to get dumped in January, all of it collectively. They're going to release October and November. In January, he's going to say we need to wait on the data. Inflation, although it's holding, it could rise. We don't know what we're going into. Joblessness is on the rise as well, though. But he's just going to say we got to be, there'll be no commitment. And that's what the market doesn't like, is the uncertainty. Heading into January, the market wants to hear, yes, I'm going to cut again in January. And that's not going to happen.
Well, here's the best thing about this. Okay, like I've been so excited for FOMC, guys. We got 𝗪𝗆 prediction markets here. Okay, I've been so excited for this because I wanted to take a couple of positions on what is going down. So I'm on 𝗪𝗆 prediction markets here. If you go to my portfolio, let me show you these positions I've taken here so far. I've said, who will Trump nominate as Fed chair? I've gone for Kevin Hassett, and I've said how many dissenting votes at the next Fed meeting? I said 3. Okay, so there's quite a big payout if I get this right. I've said 3 dissenting votes. Now let's pick another one here, and I wanted to show James this one. What will Powell say during his December press conference? Is one of them. Okay, we could say pandemic, or we can say dot plot. Okay, we can also say how many number of rate cuts in 2025. Well, I think we know 96% are agreeing to 3 cuts. What about Powell out as Fed chair before May 26?
I saw an interesting thing Trump said last night during his rally. He was doing one of these campaign rallies already, and he said, you know what? We need to look into this. But it appears that when Joe Biden extended Powell's tenure, it may have been done by the auto pen and therefore is illegal. We're going to look into this.
Null and void.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is he out before 2026 or is he out before May 2026?
Don't know. That's the question.
Well, you got to choose.
Depends on the auto pen. Depends on the auto pen. If they come up with this and try and prove that the auto pen brought him in, then yeah.
Okay, I'm calling 6 months left here. I'm going to take a position here. Look at that payout if I get it right. Okay, so if this auto pen comes true and they give him the boot, there's a 5 times payout here. Okay,
so I was curious how that works. So that's a pretty nice payout if you get it right for $50.
I'm locked in. Okay, I'm locked in, but he must go before May 26. So that means we might only have 6 more months to talk shit about Jerome Powell. Okay, so guys, if you want to play 𝗘𝘅𝗆 with me, there is a link in the show description. Come and jump in here. We can do all sorts of things. I mean, we can talk about climate and economics as well when we want. Okay, if the market starts slowing down a little bit. Okay, S&P 500 naturally flat. It's exactly what we're expecting today. We'll know a bit later on. We're going to see a ton of action later on, so no changes there. MicroStrategy, guys, holding this thing. Okay, again, I'm relying on a positive outcome in the crypto market. If we are going to go to zero, MicroStrategy might take another dip. Okay, so definitely something to watch. You can sit on the sidelines and watch me get rinsed, or you can sit on the sidelines and watch me pump, or you can join me, obviously, in this trade. But I'm relatively flat still on MicroStrategy. I am looking for that push to 220, 230. That makes a ton of sense. Here's an interesting one, guys, for you. Microsoft, look at this, has been trading since 1987. Seasonality says January is its favorite month. So what do you need to do? Basically, we need to get a position on Microsoft, hopefully at some kind of low leading into January to take advantage. Now, if your best rate is 4% in January, it does mean there's a ton of volatility as well that we will be able to play with. So Microsoft is back on my watch list, and I've still got this 450 as my big zone over here. I think this will be a banger for us. There's tons of confluence in that area. So kind of just waiting now. You can see our 200-day MA has reacted once already for it. Let's see if they give us a little bit of a bouncy ball there, and then maybe some nice upside at around 450. Okay, Princess is sitting on the sidelines. Don't you back MicroStrategy? Don't you back the sailor? I don't know. We'll have to see, but we're gonna need a ton of strength in that crypto market. Okay, so guys, Microsoft 450. This chart will be in the Chart Anchors Discord for you guys. And Netflix, I'm waiting for my entry. Okay, so we are waiting, and my entry is at 90. I think it's at 93 here. I'm waiting for the bounce play on Netflix. I've got 93 on the button here. I'm taking this on BTCC on Netflix. Yeah, there's my order. Waiting. Okay, and you can see I'm still sitting in Circle. I'm still sitting in MicroStrategy, obviously looking for a little bit more. Netflix must bounce. Okay, we know the story. I've explained it this week with Warner Brothers, etc. But I think they're going to get rid of what they need to, and then possibly a bounce here at 93. If that fails, we look again at 82. I'm not going to get married to it. Let's see what we get out of this thing. Okay, now Bitcoin option buyers are bearish. According to this, the 6-month, 25-day skew premium of puts versus calls is at its highest level this cycle. The last time it was this high was the 22 bear market. Guys are getting way too bearish here at the moment. And Carlos says we are slowly moving up. Carlos, don't worry, bro. We're coming back down. Don't you worry. Okay, there's gonna be a mixed bag for you today. Option buyers are paying more to protect their downside risk than buying their upside exposure. So Jerome Powell might have something to say about all of that. Okay, all of those puts. And we're going to obviously wait and see. Now, are we slowly moving up? Yeah, very slowly. But you got to take your eyes off the 1-minute candles, because we're going to start hitting some big zones. By the end of today, we're going to be playing a ton of ping pong here with some of these alts. Now, guys, this is what we got going on for you today. I've got ETH, I've got SOL. Then I've got things like Hype, we've got an update on. I've got Peppy and Brett, which have been really good performers. We're talking about SVX as well. And I've got a couple of other of these altcoins for you. So stick around. Okay, we got short zones, we got long zones. I'm going to show you where I've put limit orders to buy SOL as well. And I'm going to be taking, hopefully going to be taking a trade and not getting absolutely smashed if the volatility gets a little bit too aggressive. Okay, so let's get into our altcoins. Let's see what is what. And then just to touch on yesterday's shitcoin casino, remember the game we can play 4-hour RSI heat map. What do? You take the overcooked ones and you see if you can tie the overcooked ones into a magical macro rejection zone, and then you get the rejection, okay? Or sometimes you get liquidated, but basically you get massive moves out of these things. Engine was one of them yesterday. This was a great short, okay? I finished up with quite a decent reversal on this guy. I think it dumped about 12-14% in the end of our short zone that we took yesterday. And I'm looking at this one at the moment and possibly another repeat performer. Okay, so I'm in a short at the moment. 6575 is basically your upside zone. If you close above 6575, then you might be moving into the next level, and then your next level is going to be call it 70 into about 73. Okay, so there's two big zones here for you if you want to short the G. And I have no idea what the G is, but it sounds pretty cool to me. But it also sounds like a short opportunity. So you probably get about 2.5-3% risk if you want to have a go. So try and wait for this thing to push a little bit higher up if you want to give it a crack. And then if it does play out, you're probably going to get yourself a 10 to 20% drop on this thing if it does start working out. Okay, so I am positioned in a short here at the moment. Obviously, guys, get a tight entry. Wait for it to push a little higher before you start aping. Okay, and Rob says alt season is coming. James is alt season in this room with us as we speak now.
We've been looking for 2 years. I don't know. I can't seem to find it.
I don't even know what I actually can't even remember. I can't even remember. I can't remember, guys. Okay, let's go. Let's talk ETH and what's going on here. Income Shark says OBV, okay, which stands for on balance volume, is great at staying patient and unemotional in markets that are impatient. So I thought this was quite cool. He showed his chart where he was selling some ETH and getting involved in ETH and things like that. And he was using the on balance volume, okay? A very simple thing that you can do. So if you want to use that as a guide, I've slotted it in here for you. This is this blue line at the bottom. You go into indicators and you go OBV and you can track the on balance volume. So there's something fun for you guys if you want to use it. Obviously, it looks like absolute dog shit on the 2 hour. Looks like it should be rolling over. And he was obviously referring to the daily chart where it was sitting at the lows. Okay, so essentially you're going to use it as the same as a similar oscillator there. I actually used to trade with this thing a little bit. So when you're at the lows, then maybe you look for longs. When you're at the highs, then maybe it's going to tail off a little bit. Okay, so there's your OBV if you guys want to try something new. And in terms of my weapons, you can see my weapons are rolling over. They're telling us we're a little bit bearish here at the moment. And we know there's going to be a lot of indecision coming in the next couple of hours. So what do we do? So number one, I'm watching ETH here on the 2 hour time frame, and you can see last time we only tailed off a slight bit on ETH before we pumped again. So that is obviously still in the picture for us. It is obviously still a possibility. The scary part is, okay, for those of you sitting in high leverage longs, when we start losing the previous low on the oscillator, that is when things sort of accelerate quite fast to the downside. We see that time and time again. So obviously, I'm going to have my eyes glued to this previous low here on the oscillator. If we start pushing below that thing, it's obviously going to get quite interesting for me, and we're going to be attacking some lower levels. Now, what do we do now? How do we react? So let's talk ETH here on the 2 hour. You can see we are consolidating at the moment, obviously gearing up for a move. Now, I'm on this of the same view that whatever the move is, it's going to get taken out. So whatever that first move is, they're probably going to come and take you out at some point, then maybe consolidate and then decide on the real direction. But what are our options here in front of us? So in terms of any big sell-offs here today, you know, from this past week, 3,000 is actually our big one. It's our 50-week moving average support. We've got VWAP tie-in from the lows on the 1st of December. We've got a beautiful horizontal cluster, and we've got the 50-week MA. So the 3,000 is our line in the sand for ETH. If we get a hard drop into that zone, that for me looks like a long. At the very least, it looks like a bounce opportunity. So if you get a hard, fast move into that zone, I would say buyers should step in at 3,000. Is it sustainable? We'll have to wait and see. But we should get some kind of bounce out of ETH at around that 3,000 level. It's actually a little bit higher. It's sitting at, what is it sitting at? 3,080, guys. Okay, so 3,080, and we've got our VWAP there. There's a ton of support. So 3,080 on ETH. look for a bounce there. If we get a sharp move to the downside, then obviously there's a little bit more degen zones here, 3210 and 3150. Maybe you want to sniff around there on any weakness first, and then you're going to get the bounce. Now, upside zones, these actually haven't changed much over the last 24 hours for me. We've still got our main short zone here, which is 3,440. This is our 786. We haven't tapped this guy yet, and you guys know I love to see these fibs get hit. So 3,430, 3,450, that type of region looks very interesting. And then don't think they're going to send it up here and not have a reaction on the 200-day moving average. So if they do force it through that 200-day MA 3,540, that's a possible sharp rejection zone. And I'm talking a hard rejection. So if they explode you into that 200-day, look for that sharp dip there off that guy. And Slothman says, when are we shorting XRP? Bro, every single day we're going to look for an XRP short. I got you covered today as well. Okay, so guys, those are rejection zones for ETH. And then another big one here is your macro 618, 3,627. Okay, so these are the most obvious reaction zones for me. These zones make the most sense to me in terms of if the market pumps, where am I looking for my short? Where am I looking for TPs? Okay, so look out there in those zones, guys. Remember, all these charts go into the _𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 that is ETH. Basically, the ping pong zone's done for ETH. Now let's take a look at some of these positions. And at the moment, I'm kind of just waiting. I want to see a hard pump so that I can load up some shorts. I want to see a hard dump so that I can close maybe some of the shorts, grab some longs, and get some bounce. So right now, I'm kind of just parked in a few positions. You can see the XRP short that I added to yesterday, nice and green. The Sol short that I took yesterday, I added a little bit to it as well. That is nice and green. Brett is a scalp long from earlier today in the 𝗙𝗥𝗧𝗃 Discord. And ZEC, I've started a short position, and I'm going to tell you why in a couple of minutes, why I think ZEC could actually be on its way down, okay? Because it's looking quite filthy on the oscillators at the moment. So that is coming for you guys, a nice clean ZEC short situation. Okay, so guys, that is the current play here. I've got my longs 𝗨𝗪𝗏 letting me down a little bit here. Let's see. We've got the G short that I've got here. I've got hyperliquids turning green for me. That's pretty nice. AVAX short from yesterday, pretty flat at the moment. So yeah, mixed bag, just waiting for a nice clean move in the market so that we can pick a direction and start flying with this thing. Okay, so let's start talking about Sol. And earlier today in the Discord, what I said to the guys was Sol was dropping into a lower bull zone, and I was saying, for me, I'm looking for the full 1 hour reset, possibly at around 134, even potentially lower on Sol. So let's take a look here and see what these guys are giving us at the moment. And you can see we are looking at Sol touching or moving into this rising trend over here. And there's a couple of things bothering me at the moment about the current price situation. Now, 136, you can see this is a reaction zone. You can see we are bouncing in that area. What is concerning me here, and I'm tracking the 1 hour, is that we haven't had a reset, we haven't had a proper dip, we haven't had a divergence print just yet, and all of these things for me today are still on the same, or still on the table for me over the next 4 to 6 hours. We could see like still a lot of moves to the downside. So I'm kind of waiting patiently on Sol. And if we do what I've got here, okay, and again, it doesn't have to be a new high. This move can be simply something like this, and then a lower high that we can look for a short later on, or whatever the story is. We don't have to get a new high out of these moves, but what we need to get is some kind of reaction. So right now, I've got a long limit order waiting on Sol, 134, and I've also put one at 132, which is slightly lower down here. And you can see why. I mean, I'm taking into account this mini undercarriage here. I'm taking into account the 618. I'm taking into account a wick into that trend as well. So 134 into 132, I'm looking for a bounce. Now, obviously, there's a situation here. If we drop and we get a hard bounce, how do you find the short? How do you know where to exit? So you've got a simple thing that you guys can do during the course of today is you're going to go into your lower time frame as possible. Let's just use the 1 hour for this example. You're going to drop your VWAP at the highs, bang. Okay, and if you get that drop, if you get this fast drop on Sol later today, and then you get a hard bounce, all you need to do is look for TP at that VWAP, okay, because that might be your first potential rejection zone. Okay, so very simple thing you can do, just drop that VWAP at the top of your local high. So whatever your highs were yesterday, just bang those VWAPs, and that can be your starting point for a short-term rejection. So if you get hard candles to the upside, you know where you can TP possible shorts as well. And then obviously, guys, you know the drill. If you've done the accelerated course, you marry it with order blocks, you marry it with some fibs and things like that. You look at those oscillators, look for the reversals. But in typical zones, you know, you can work with something like that. Armistice says, can we short Pippin? Well, we can try and take a look here. If I got a bit of time, we could always substitute Pippin in for one of my other shit coins. Yeah, you know, I don't mind. I'm open to a couple of things. Let's look at some of these other tokens here. Let me just get my browser, which is the slowest thing in history. Moving over here. There it comes. Right there she goes. Okay, let's hide this thing. 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗀𝗏𝗧. No, that was the wrong one. Don't worry, guys. I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Push it again. Okay, let's go. James, can you believe this? Every day gets slower, this thing. Okay, let's go. Okay, so here's my soul orders. Okay, they're waiting here, 134 and 132. And I've got them ready and waiting here on Blowfit. Okay, so you can see a little bit of weakness here in the market. I am looking for that dip now at the moment. So I've set 2 limit orders, and both of them are $7,500 in size. I'm running this one across account. If we do get a move out of this, I'm going to start hedging as well, and I can show you guys along the way how we do that. Okay, so playing around here on Blowfin at the moment. Now let's look at some of our bangers. Okay, now I want you guys to be covered here. We've obviously seen weakness all day, and if you take a look at Peppy, suddenly over the last couple of days, this thing has really given us some moves, like really outperformed a lot of alts. And I'm looking for something similar here if we get the opportunity on Peppy. Now, where are the most obvious zones for me? So simple, guys. I've highlighted them here. Reaction zone number 1, 459. If you drop into this area today, this could be a nice reaction zone. This could be a really nice long zone here for you guys. Look for that move. Okay, look for that bounce on Peppy. If they give us a filthy dump later on, and I'm talking like rough, like they really start wiping you out, and we're talking a move here of about 5%, which can happen in the space of 10 minutes, 5 minutes even. You're looking for a bounce 446. Okay, this is a possible banger here. This is the 786. It's the trend as well, and hopefully by then we will get a much cleaner reversal here on the 1 hour, and that might even come with some degree of divergence, something along these lines, for example, on Peppy. But in terms of getting to a reversal on lower time frames, you can see we're getting super close. So just be ready to react. Look for this little false dump to the downside, then maybe catch that pump, and then let's see if those VWAPs will reject us higher up, and then maybe they do send us down. Okay, so you've got your levels here, 459 and 446 on Peppy, looking good for me here on any further weakness. Let's talk Brett as well. This has been a bit of a banger. Okay, so yeah, got that short yesterday on that 50-day MA. Now, nice drop. Obviously, you know, I mean, it's actually unreal, James. I mean, they cleaned up that entire move leading into FOMC. I really hope guys didn't buy the top of that move. I really hope guys didn't buy the top of those moves. Okay, what are we doing? Look at this. 1.8 is our big support. We're sitting on 618 horizontal VWAP, I would say. Okay, and this is very similar to Sol dropping into 134. So let's say like now, just before this FOMC, there's a situation, they start talking or whatever, we drop into this guy, 1.8 to 177. That is pretty nice. Okay, that could be quite a reasonable bounce there for us on Brett. 1.8 to 177. That could be something. And then if the sell-off is harder, guys, you're looking at 171. 171 is going to be your next reaction zone on Brett. And again, keep it simple. There's your VWAP. Okay, look at your VWAP over there, and then you can add something else to the mix if you've got time. What you do is you take your fib, you go to the highs, you drop it down to wherever your token bounces over there, and then you add your 382, you can add your 618, your 0.5, and these are going to be your typical target zones if there is a bounce in the market. Okay, so keep it super simple there, guys. I am running a poll. Let's see the poll here. And the FOMC will pump it 43%, dump it 41%, and 16% are here to talk shit about J Power. Well, hopefully I did it. Hopefully we did it well. Okay, we even took those positions on 𝗪𝗆 over there. So I think we well covered there on Joe Powell at the moment. Okay, guys, remember these charts are in the Discord for you whenever you're ready. Now let's talk XRP. And James, James, were you nervous when, no, you flipped short, hey? You did flip short. Okay, no, I'm happy. Remember last night, XRP was pumping, and I said, no, fuck, I'm adding. Okay, well, there you go, guys. When you see an undercarriage and a fib like that, it's time to cool off, okay? It's time to look for some rejections. Okay, so right now, XRP is on... it's almost on a knife edge at the moment, and I'll tell you why. This is us on the 2 hour, and I still, at the moment, can't see a reason to close the short. Look at it. We're sitting on support now on this oscillator. If this oscillator starts dipping lower, we should accelerate down for XRP. And if that happens, then we are looking for longs, 202, okay, 2028, and we're looking for longs at 2. Okay, I've got an order sitting at 2 for XRP, waiting for this dip. I want to fill that wick, and I want to see.
XRP loves 2.
It does, hey? It does.
Yes, loves that number.
Yes, look at
I've
this.
got a limit here for the FOMC volatility, hoping we pick up there.
Okay, so guys, again, we're playing the volatility game. Like, we're looking at areas where we think the buyers can step in, and I'm pretty confident there'll be some buying at around 2 on XRP if it falls over. Okay, so just mark that area here. If you're ballsy enough, put a limit order there. I've got a limit order waiting. If they drop there, that is going to pick up a long there for me on XRP. So let's see. So 2028 and 2, those are the buy zones. If everything falls over, guys, we'll be dealing with it on the show tomorrow. There it is. Okay, 1.9. Okay, 1.91. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Don't panic. Okay, if everything rolls over, don't panic. Let's talk about shorting Zcash. Okay, is it on the table for us now? Possible sell-off on Zcash. So in terms of the 4 hour, you can see this thing is turning a little bit bearish here at the moment, but we cannot discount the fact that we could pump one more time. And if we pump one more time on the 4 hour, you guys know the drill by now. We print bearish divergence. Okay, you probably get the lower high and you get the bearish divergence, and then you get that token potentially selling off. Okay, that is kind of what we're looking for here at the moment on ZEC. So I've started a small position at the moment. Obviously, I'm trying to protect myself for any upside because I believe there can be a second wind here, and the danger zones are 450 and 479. These are the two big areas here where I would expect a rejection on a pump. Now look at this beautiful undercarriage there. Look at that VWAP. Look at that macro fib at 479. Okay, so we are going to deal with that ZEC if it pumps into that zone, but right now I have started a short in case this thing is going to fall over in this box up to 450. And I just want to show you guys this on the 2 hour, looking a little bit sad at the moment. Okay, look at this thing here. Look at those divergences, and this thing is starting to lean down a little bit. Now, obviously, the scenario could be a short-term pump, but all it's going to do is possibly print more divergence and then send us lower down. Okay, so I'm leaning a little bit bearish here on the ZEC at the moment, starting small. If we pump into those zones, I'm going to add a little bit on those positions. And finally, if we close above 479, I think it's pretty safe to say this thing might be pumping a lot more. Okay, so right now, those are the zones I'm watching on ZEC. There was a question about 𝗨𝗪𝗪 here for you guys as well, and I've added a little bit to my 𝗨𝗪𝗪 long. Okay, and right now, obviously looking for this thing to do something. Okay, into the halving. The halving was 12th or the 14th of December. It is around the corner, and I did add a little bit. You can see my two main zones at the moment for TAO are 292 and 286. I've got divergence prints here coming out of my ears on the 1 hour at the moment. So let's see. I mean, there's multiple divergences here. They're obviously trying to do something, and I did pick up earlier today. Rest of the market was selling off quite hard, and TAO was actually doing relatively okay considering what was going on. So 292 to 286, I think that's still reasonable to look for a bounce. If that fails, guys, candle close under 282, get out of this thing. 282, close under that, get out of this TAO. It could drop a lot lower then after that. Then I've got SPX for you guys as well. And this thing is such beautiful ping pong zones. Look at this thing. Longs, guys, 591 and 554. Look for longs there. 591, 554 should give you some kind of bounce. Where do you get your shorts? 73 and 80 into 82. Those are the short zones. Okay, so keep it really simple here. If we get a sharp dump later today, look for a bounce here in this zone. Look for something like that, and that obviously could send us lower down. If we pump hard into this zone, I don't expect much more. I'm looking at something like that. It could be quite a nice short here for us on these guys. Okay, so just play those ping pong areas. You can see it's pretty clear over there. Hyperliquid, I believe this is going to make a recovery. and partly because I was underwater for so long, and I'm kind of married to it now. But now it is turning green for us finally. 4-hour bullish divergence printing. Your exit zone is 27.2. You close under that thing, I won't be around. I'll be cutting that. There are liquidations of a lot of longs on hype all the way down to 20. So if they start dropping the price, there might be cascading liquidation. Some guy's going to get liquidated at like 21, and he's got a $50 million position. Okay, so that'll be a cascading dump. But right now for me, I'm holding my long on hyperliquid. Targets are 30.8 and 32.85. No changes for me. If you want a degen support, not very reliable, but if you want degen support here, 28.5, use that. Okay, that's the safest I can give you, 28.5. Other than that, it's 27.2 that you guys are going to be watching. Then let's talk AVAX. This thing is pure manipulation, James. I have no other words for this thing. The whole market falls over yesterday. I'm sitting in the AVAX short, stays flat. It looks like that. What was that thing in the hospital they were talking about again? Somebody was saying on the show that thing. It did it again. Okay, so you telling me these guys aren't pumping the price and then selling it, doing whatever the hell they're doing into whatever's going on there, but that doesn't look normal. Okay, that looks that's pretty dodgy. Okay, so here we go. It's now rolled over, and again, it's rolled over to 786. We had this last time, okay, and when it did fall over, it was really a beautiful thing. Okay, so they might be doing it again. Look at this. Look at this. This is weird behavior. What do you make of this? Natural price action.
Well, like you said, yeah, manipulation. Because it did that same thing. Wasn't this one of our
and
wasn't this a win entry?
This
down
was
at
a
the bottom there. Yeah, it
yeah.
sat there doing the same thing. It wouldn't move, and yeah, it's obviously I don't know what they're doing. But
it's willing buyers and willing sellers, James. That's what's going on. Okay, that's what's going on. Okay, so now what do we do with AVAX? Okay, so I'm sitting in the AVAX short. Obviously, it has finally started playing out after being pretty frustrating. Long zone, guys, 13.8. Very simple. Look for that bounce there. Okay, yes, it's giving us OM vibes. It's giving me OM vibes. Okay, 13.8. Look for this. Okay, this is your first sort of port of call. 13.8. I got the VWAP here. I got beautiful manipulation support. Okay, I've got the 0.5 and I got the trend. So 13.8. You got to look for a long there. If that fails, 13. That's the zone. 13. Those are the next zones. Other than that, just leave it. Okay, so AVAX has been taken over by doctors, basically, even aliens, possibly. Okay, so guys, there's AVAX. There's your long zone. If we explode, short 15.25 and short at 15.86. 15.25 short, 15.86 short. Look out there in that area. And then what else we got? A when entry. I'm working on a when entry for you guys for today, and I'm toying with Ondo, which has made a revival. It's been on my show 3 times now in the last couple of days because the SEC dropped that case around it, and all of a sudden Ondo woke up and it's been doing pumpy things. So there might be a play for us here on Ondo later today. You can see I'm printing divergence on the 1 hour. It is starting to tail off a little bit, but I do suspect we might get a little bit of an entry. Okay, so looking for something like this on Ondo, 48 and maybe 47. I'm going to work on this one for you guys, and in the Discord we'll bang in a when entry for you guys. Okay, so final brief is no one knows which way it's going to go, but what we do know and what we can control is where we react. Okay, longs of good support, shorts of good resistance. Don't get married and too bearish. Don't get too much FOMO and too bullish. Okay, we just play these areas here, and then we recap where we are tomorrow. Okay, let everything settle, and then tomorrow we go again, and then maybe we get some more energetic moves up or down in the market. Okay, James, anything you would like to say?
Good luck, everyone. Most important day in crypto ever. Until next FOMC.
Okay, until next. Okay, later.